Hi, it's Chris Watkin here with the next ICG webinar, and I'm joined by Estate Agency, Royalty and PropTech to talk about how you guys, you negs, valuers and managers can get pay rises even in a tough market. Firstly, I'd like to go to Ed Mead. Ed Mead, you were the boss man of Douglas and Gordon, big in the game, estate agent in London. You're not telling me that people have come to you with their little plates saying, please, Oliver, can I have some more? How do people get a pay rise out of you? Talk to me.
Well, clearly by asking, but and there is a lesson there. If you don't ask, you don't get. So from that perspective, if you think you're worth more, don't be afraid to ask more. But from my perspective, I think I always ran a service over profit. We were happier to provide a good service and have customers coming back rather than necessarily screw every last penny out of every deal. So we used to look upon pay rises quite favorably in those days. And if people were good and we wanted to keep them, we would do that. It's frustrating in that I've had one or two instances in the past, certainly when I was an estate agent and I was upcoming and I would go for a role, I wouldn't get it. I'd ring up someone else I knew who was unhappy in their role and say, why didn't you apply for this job? Because you can probably get yourself a pay rise where you are off the back of it. So I think there's a certain amount of game playing that goes on in that sector. But to me, it's just a judgment call. I would always put service and good people over necessarily trying to screw up, too much profit out of a deal or out of an individual.
I'm with you. I mean, typically, when people come to pay rises and talk to people, people often say that the reason they don't ask is they say they don't deserve it. It might be rejected. I'm scared to negotiate, and some people even think they might lose their job. Iain White. What have you got to say on this topic? How when you were boss man at Romans, did they get money out of your northern sweaty mitts?
I think timing is everything. I'm not sure sweaty mitts, but timing is everything. I think you've got to pick your time.
Tell you what, it must have been because you've got a boat and that nice car of yours. You must have been screwing it away like Scrooge. Come on.
Yeah. I mean, look, we had review systems that hopefully meant we got to the A players before they got to us. So I think as a boss, if I was ever asked for a pay rise and felt I then should give it, I would have taken the view that we had somehow missed a trick. I would have been a bit like a client complaining. If they get to the point where they've complained, you probably missed a trick. But the question you asked is, how do you get a pay rise? So one, I think your timing has to be good, and two, you need to take in the facts. If someone can present to me that they have performed over and above in certain areas, perhaps that there are other vacancies available, I would be interested to listen to them. I wouldn't want to lose an A player. Okay,
so I'd like to go to Jamie, then Kristjan.
Yeah, stop laughing now after your sweaty mitts comment. It was terrible, Iain. I don't know why you let him here. Timing is massive. Definitely, right now there's a lot of people out there thinking, is this the right time? And it doesn't take much to look outside the window to think people are cautious of next year. But I think if you can come with evidence to suggest that you've brought this following business, this amount of business, you've retained these clients, you've gone over and above, I think is a really good strategy to get what you're hoping to achieve. I think in our business, we've got a really rigid review process, incentivization process, and a pathway for development in your career and development in your salary. I think another really good strategy as well, especially in the current market, would be to come with a strategy for expanding the range of service within the business. I want more because I want to do the following, and I think business owners really respect that. Come with an idea, you want to outsource auctions, hey, I want to own it, I want to run it, but I want some of the upside, or I want to expand our territory into these postcodes. This is how I'm going to do it. I want some of the upside. I don't think we're taking advantage of all that we can in our letting side of the business. We should be doing this. I'll run it, but I want some of the upside. I think that's a solid approach, especially in the current climate where people are going to be a bit more nervous to increase cost base.
Before we go to Kristjan, do you think they almost have to pay it forward by improving first, but having the written promise that they'll get the kickback or the extra?
I don't know. I mean, you're supposed to the paid forward bit, that's what you're there to do your job. You've done your job really well. That's what you're paid for. Is a good counter argument for any business owner who wants to push back on it. But I think coming with a clear strategy for me in the current market where everyone is a little bit cautious of next year, to turn around and say, I want an extra 20% because my kids just got into horse riding. You know, a business owner doesn't want to hear that, but a clear strategy that says, I think we can do more in this space. This is how we're going to do it. I'm happy to run it in addition to what I'm already doing, but I want some of the upside. I want it either in increase in salary or I want a share of the success.
Good stuff. And then Jim, car fees are quite expensive, aren't they? Kristjan.
So yeah, so look, don't wait for your owner manager to come to you. If you think you're worth more, do absolutely start that conversation. I think for me over the years, anyone who came to me and was basing it on either historical performance or was like, oh, I've done another year with you, so I think I should get another X few grand basic, that never bought it for me. I think as Jamie alluded to, what always excited me was someone who came to me with a new proposal of like, you know what, I've been averaging 10 grand a month in lettings. If I start, you know, if I go beyond that, rather than my 10%, can I earn 20% on everything over 15 grand? Or if I hit 15 grand a month, can I get £1,000 bonus? You know, those were the things that really excited me. Those were the things that were like, yeah, because if you don't deliver, you're not costing me a penny. And if you do deliver that, you are absolutely worth every bit of that. So I was always much more excited about, be it performance, be it a new marketplace. I mean, also think about, the other thing I would say is think about why you're asking for that extra amount of money. If it is specifically for something, you want to pay for a good gym membership, they'll pay for you to have a good gym membership. You know, at the end of the day, as an employer, again, I would rather someone came and asked me for a benefit than a cash thing, because something like a gym membership, I'm like, great, you're going to be looking after yourself. You should be fitter, which means you should be, you know, have more energy at work. You should be ill less. I'm going to get a better member of staff out of that. I'd rather spend £200 a month on a gym membership than necessarily give that member of staff £200 cash.
Interesting.
So,
you said that, go on, Kristjan, that instead of asking for a raise in your basic, you ask for a raise in your commission, and then the boss will probably in a few years, 6-12 months time, you'll be able to consolidate that with a better salary because they'll pull your commission back in, but at least you have the higher salary and the peace of mind.
Yeah, and look, not everyone's in a sale position, right? So, but you know, I would happily have someone in the admin team come to me and go, okay, if I secure our brand 50 4+ star Google reviews in the next 12 months, when I hit 50 reviews, I want a £2,000 bonus for that. Great. You don't have to be in a sales position. It can be something about that. It can be feedback on your website. I know there are plenty of other estate agencies, and I think Ed talked about this earlier as well. It's not just about the money. It's about that customer experience. So, you know, I've worked in business before. It's like, guys, first person to get 5-star Google reviews gets 500 quid. You know, so don't be afraid to flip that on the table and take it to your client and spot weak spots. You know, if you work for an agency that doesn't have a lot of Google reviews or doesn't have a great reputation on Google, help that business turn that around, give them something measurable. Like I say, you don't have to be in a sales role, but I think it's always much more exciting. You've got a member of staff going, if I deliver this, can I have that? Absolutely. You know, that I think is a really exciting proposition because it shows that they've given some thought into it. They're looking at the value equation of what they get out of it, but also how you as a business benefit rather than just, I want more money in my bank account. Last
20 seconds to Ed Mead.
I do think you need to be aware, of course, that there will be other people in the office watching what happens. So you need to be careful of how you manage that. And secondly, I would say that a lot of people do need to talk about basics because of mortgages. I come back to mortgages, you know, bonuses, off patch payments or whatever, don't cut it when it comes to the mortgage possibilities. So
thank you very much, everyone, for your time today. Wave goodbye to UK Estate Agency, and we'll see you on the next ICG webinar. I hope you've enjoyed it and learned a lot from it.